I have a bunch of ideas and none of them are good. Anyways, so our topic of the day, Superman games. They suck. Superman games are fucking terrible. Every single one of them has been bad. The only good Superman games are the games where the mechanics aren't based around him, and I don't find that to be a coincidence. Like, the only good Superman games are, like, the Lego DC games and, like, Injustice, where the mechanics are not built around the idea of Superman. Superman is a bad character. I respect it's like I respect everything that like Superman did for like pop culture and like all the shit that Superman represents, but like in the modern age, Superman's a shitty character. He's unkillable except for one thing, which is why every single Superman movie is exactly the same. And it's like, just you can't make a game based around the idea of a dude who's unkillable except for one thing. It's why every Superman game is exactly the same.
You fly around, you be a hero, you do your thing, and then you win, you get the girl, and congratulations, you are a Boy Scout.
And you fly through a bunch of rings.
But at the same time, for Superman, like, the thing with me and Superman is, I will forever be a Batman fan, like I feel many people are these days. Also, the thing is, people like, but Superman's like, without him you wouldn't have it, and I agree. Like, we wouldn't have a lot without Superman. Superman is a very, very critical character to what makes pop culture, you know, what it is today.
Yeah, but it's like, but why is that? Why does that matter?
Exactly, and I'm like,
it's like, why does it matter where the better thing came from? The fact of the matter is that something is better now.
And the thing is too, what some people don't realize, as the historian buff, being I'm a comic junkie, I did a history, like a comic class, and I learned a bunch of comic book knowledge. Superman literally came from two guys from World War II that were Jewish, and they decided that they needed to make a character for the Jewish community to aspire to be, and that's how Superman came. An original idea behind Superman was literally based off of Jesus from the Bible. That is why he was unbeatable. He was the perfect man's man, all the time. He could never be beaten. He was literally a second Messiah, which is fine. Like, in that regard, like, he fits the bill. But then later on, when the comics started introducing like the Batman and all the characters that actually had ways of losing, and like, you know, they're not always going to win the day and be perfect.
Characters who are relatable to the normal person.
Exactly. It's like when those started showing up, legit, the creators suddenly had to go and say, oh damn, we have to make sure our character has some sort of weakness compared to just always being perfect 110% of the time, which is where Kryptonite came from. And with that, Superman's still he's the biggest cheater in all of the comics. The only time you can get beat him is by getting a hold of this top secret rock that is there, but is under like arm and a leg of the government in every single comic book series. The only person who's ever gotten their hands on Kryptonite is the Batman, because he's Batman and he's rich. And that's still plays into why Superman in general just isn't that good of a character, because he's too perfect.
And again, I'm like, we're not trying to just shit on Superman. If you like Superman, honestly, like, more power to you.
Do your thing.
Like, do your thing. We're not trying to make you feel bad for liking Superman, not at all. It's just it's like everything we've said so far though leads into the reason why there has never been a good Superman video game. And there will never be a really good Superman movie. You can say that the classic Superman movies were good fun, and they were, but like, they're not good movies. They're fun movies, but they're not good movies. And it's just because of the way that Superman is as a character. Superman is such a hyper-constrictive character that writing a story for him becomes impossible. How did you... Oh, that was the grenade. Okay. The Guardian just flew in and immediately died, and I was like, wait, what? Superman's design as a character is so hyper-constrictive that it's impossible to write something for him that doesn't involve this one thing that is his super weakness that everyone conveniently always has.
There's never just a moment where you're like, oh, he's gonna just like, he has a chance of losing. You're like, oh dude, it's Superman.
You know Superman will never actually lose a fight, and even when he's fucking dead, you know he's coming back.
It's like Superman Doomsday was a brilliant comic in regards to him being, you know, dead. It's like they made a character in Doomsday that has the ability to literally kill the Man of Steel, which was brilliant. But it's like at the same time, that's not gonna happen in every single arc.
But
so
back
like,
to the idea of Superman games, I think just in general, superhero games tend to be very shitty. If you look at every superhero game to ever exist, at least 50% at least 50% of them are shitty. It's hard to make a game where you feel vulnerable even though everything about your character screams, I am not vulnerable. And that's for every superhero, not just Superman. There have been so many terrible Spider-Man games, and it hurts my heart as a Spider-Man fan that there are so many bad ones. I think what makes them work, what makes games with superheroes work, like the Arkham series, like Spider-Man Web of Shadows, like Ultimate Spider-Man. What makes games like that work is the fact that you are able to tap into their humanity and that you're able to make them vulnerable in a way that's believable. And that's the main problem with Superman, is the fact there is no way to make him vulnerable that's believable. Because it's in his character to not be vulnerable, except to this one thing that everyone is tired of. Superman 64, as terrible as that game is, at least the concept was kind of interesting. The concept of Superman 64 was that Lex Luthor sucked soups into a digital world where everything was different. That made things a little more believable. It's just the game itself was really shitty. I think one of the main things about Superman that makes it so impossible to make a good game is because normal game mechanics don't apply to him. You can't have a health bar on Superman. You can't have like an upgrade system with Superman. It just doesn't work with him because those things are already built out of his character. I think the Superman Returns game had an interesting idea where instead of your health, you had the city health and you had to keep the city safe. But like Superman 64, it was just shitty.
What I would much rather see from like a Rocksteady group again to make a game is they should go and dabble in like the Green Arrow, because the Green Arrow and Batman are very, very like hand-holdy, and it's like, but at the same time it plays into again Superman not being able to function because he's supposed to be as fast as the Flash, and like the Flash and him have races, and ultimately it's like he literally is an unstoppable force. That is Superman. The only time he is not is when you put magic rock in his face and he goes and says, I can't breathe, and you're like, I win because I have a magic rock. He can never be in a game for the fact of like, you get to play as Superman. They have to treat him as he's there to mop up everything. He's there he's the janitor, so to speak.
That's why Superman works better as a villain than a hero.
Because they have to figure out a way to beat the insurmountable, unstoppable force.
That's why I want the DCU to go with the Injustice line. I think that'd be fun.
Dude.
I want the DCU to go Injustice. That'd be amazing. But it's like, I would love to see. That's how you fix fucking. That's how you fix the DCU. Is you just, Henry Cavill's already an unlikable douchebag as Superman. You just turn him into the villain.
And then you want everybody else to beat him. It's great.
Yeah. Also, just side note, if you're wondering why we're playing like bitches this whole time, it's because we're going for an achievement where you beat 1 through 50 on Insane. So we're just trying to milk this one area. Tactical bitchin', but it gets the job done.